Hi. So I'm Nora Gaunt.
And I'm Ryan Mitchell, and we're here to talk to you about investment. Now, we're not economists. We don't have degrees in business or accounting, but we've been around the world. We've met a lot of people, and we think we have something to offer with regards to how we as a community define wealth. We're here today to talk about a different kind of investment in experience, and how we as a community can re-envision the American dream.
So who are we? According to the US Census, as of January 1st, 2012, we numbered 312,780,968 individuals. Of those nearly 313 million people, 8.7% of our families make under $15,000 a year. The bulk of us make between $15,000 and just under $100,000 a year. And 25% of us make $1,000 or more. 6.8% of us are under 5 years old. Almost 40% of us are 18 to 44. 22% of us are 45 to 64. And 12.4% of us are 65 and older. And those are my grandparents. Just under half of us are men.
Hi.
While just over half of us are women. Some of us are white.
Hi.
Some of us are black. Some of us are Native Americans or Alaska Natives. Some are Pacific Islanders or Native Hawaiians. Some are Asian Americans. Some are Latinos. Some of us are of Middle Eastern descent. And some of us are Canadian Americans.
Hi.
And then on top of that, on top of all of those broad spectrum umbrella terms, a whopping 5.8% of us are reptile owners. So we're a diverse group. But we all have to answer to this. The American dream has been sold to us as this. But if 75% of our families are making under $100,000 a year of combined family income, how many of us do you think can really afford it? We're not here to pass judgment on those who can. However, this is how many of us could benefit from making a different kind of investment. And that's all of us.
Now, first off, there are some problems with the status quo. Basically, the way things stand is this. We place great precedence on material wealth acquisition. The picture that has been painted of the American dream is unattainable for most. We're bombarded with imagery that deals with the life that 75% of our American families will never actually experience. The US General Social Survey shows that heavy TV watchers see so many rich people on screen that they underestimate their own relative income. We've seen some of the effects of this in the recent housing bubble burst. I mean, ask yourself, how many times have you seen a Remax commercial that's showcasing a 900 square foot 2-to-1, like the house I grew up in? Not really. To further my point, I'm going to show you guys a commercial that's been coming on for the last couple of Christmas seasons, and I'm going to see if you can guess how this ends. So, hubby walks in with gift in hand, right? Okay, cool. What's the gift? What's in there? This guy might know, he might be in on the surprise. Can anybody guess what she just got for Christmas? Oh, man! A $67,000, $630 Lexus. Yes. Now, I don't know about you, but is there anybody out there who thinks that they can make a $67,000 purchase as a surprise without talking to your spouse? I mean, is that not a bit absurd, right? A little absurd. Now, if there are some of you squirming in your seats because you were actually able to pull this one off, I'm not hating on that, okay? And my point is that this ad and many others flash across our screens suggesting that this is the peak of the American dream, even though it's unattainable for most of us. Basing your wealth in material acquisition alone has another significant caveat. It varies in fluctuations with the economy. Large investments such as houses, stocks, bonds, retirement, which I too have, are all at the whim of the stock market of risky and toxic investments. They can wholly be devalued, and it's completely out of your hands. Even your house, which has long been consistently viewed as one of the wisest and most stable investments that you can make within the paradigm of the American dream, has proven for many a liability and not an asset. For the first time in living memory, it's possible that when everything goes to pot and you sell your house, which may or may not even be possible, you might still lose your pants. Now, as a firefighter, I've seen people lose everything due to fire and natural disaster. As a paramedic, I'm well versed in the finite existence that we all have, and that we're not going to take any of that material wealth with us when we leave.
So that brings us to the question of whether it results in true happiness. The current story of the American dream is based largely on consumption, forever grasping for higher and higher income. When the narrative is consume, 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 there never seems to be enough. No matter how much we earn, it's never sufficient. We could always make more so that we could afford better. And this, we think, will make us happy. Even if the reality is that we can eat well, and we do have a roof over our heads that doesn't leak, and hot water running in our homes, and a means of transportation, and clean clothes. Even when we actually have everything we need. When we seek to accumulate beyond that measure, the thrill is satisfying at first, but the reality is that our happiness does not increase. The World Happiness Report from Columbia University has found that while US GNP has increased by a factor of 3 since 1960, our average happiness has remained the same, failing to follow that same upward trend. So what we're proposing is an alternative approach. Rather than pouring all of our resources into acquisition, we've started investing in experience, both in community events, locally, and in international travel. First off, the value gained from experience can never be taken away. That being said, there's definitely a monetary investment here. In our case, Ryan refinanced his car.
Hi.
We took out loans. We saved up, and we did some serious planning. We made a conscious choice to make this a part of our long-term fiscal plan, a part of our American dream. The difference here is that when the stock market plummeted and the Great Recession ensued, our memories were not devalued. Our friendships were not jeopardized. The investment we chose to make is not subject to or dependent on outside influence. It is intrinsically valuable.
Additionally, with this type of investment, there is true wealth in knowledge. For example, a lot of you already know this, education, right? You made a monetary investment into your own knowledge base, and this has real and tangible benefits. You're 3 times more likely to rise from the bottom to the top of your family income ladder with a college degree. Experientially, how many of you remember your college days as some of the best in your life? I mean, we were flooding ourselves with experience, knowledge, coming into ourselves. We were out on our own, meeting new people, and truly living.
For us, university took us halfway around the world, twice. We traveled to the heart of the Himalayan Mountains in northern India, and we lived in southern Ethiopia for 2 months. And we learned some great things, including how to communicate daily with a group of people who would soon become dear friends on the side of the Rift Valley for 2 months without sharing the same language. We had a few simple words, I mean really simple, like dog, shovel, bucket, cow, that we had in common. But besides that, we basically relied on body language, smiles, laughter, and hard work.
Now, it rains a lot in the Guj Mountains of southern Ethiopia. And during one of these total deluges, I found myself out in the rain, kicking my feet through the thick red clay. Standing in front of our vehicle, trying to stay away from the moist and steam-filled interior, a local elder appeared from the house that we were parked in front of and came up and grabbed my hand. He said a few things in Amharic or Gamunya, of which I didn't understand because I don't really speak either of those languages, and then guided me into his house. It was a basic it had 3 basic rooms, a living room, a single bedroom, a cow stable with an adjoining cooking area, all under this corrugated metal roof. I packed in amongst a group of men and women I didn't know, in the dark, with mud-caked walls decorated with newspaper. He went to the only bedroom, grabbed his only blanket, that was weaved in one of the local traditions of the area, and bundled it around my shoulders, and then squeezed it next to me as we sat on a cowhide bench. From there, we just all sat and smiled. at each other, occasionally laughing at the fact that all we could do was smile, put our arms around each other, and basically just enjoy our common and shared humanity. No language was needed, just the experience of being, an education in living together as one.
So that brings us to true happiness. What we found is that by investing in experience, we get much closer to a sense of well-being and overall content. Here, there's a sense of community built through human connection. The more we reach out, the more we connect, the more we understand each other. Doesn't mean we have to agree, but when understanding increases, fear diminishes. And when fear decreases, we feel more secure. And security is a good thing in unstable times. The country of Bhutan, located along the border between China and India, has transitioned away from the concept of GNP and chooses instead to measure GNH, which is gross national happiness. So there's evidence here of this shift in perspective being truly feasible, even on a national scale. And you can do this by volunteering, you can do it by just lending a hand, or just as valid by letting someone else help you. When we were in northern India, we quickly learned that the closer we got to the Chinese border, the more hoops we had to jump through. One of which was waiting outside a government office in a small town called Rikongpyo, waiting for our names to be called rather quietly, so that when we heard them, we could go in and get permits to go into the next valley. If you missed your name, you got to go back to camp and make the 4-hour drive again the next day. So as we stood outside waiting, we noticed this group of women. They're working extremely hard, going back and forth, carrying these pretty substantial bags of sand on their heads, moving them from one pile to another. So we decided to engage them to see if we could do what they were doing, even just for a little while, to see if they would even let us. Eventually they gave in, and we began loading these bags of mortar onto our heads and making the trek ourselves. And it was incredibly strenuous for us. It was surprising how heavy those bags were and how much neck strength it took to carry them. Yeah. So in reality, we probably only saved these women maybe 30 minutes of work, during which time they probably could have accomplished far more had we just left them alone and let them do it. But the heartening thing was that they were genuinely amused by our efforts. Their previously stoic faces broke into smiles. They laughed at us, stumbling around, trying to do something that for them was simple, that they did every day, all day. And in the end, we'll always remember that. Hopefully they'll remember it too. But when we feel overwhelmed, that memory of those girls toiling under conditions of 12,000 feet in altitude, admittedly for us, it's more of a challenge than for them. They were used to it. But still, it's a reminder that we're all toiling together. And you don't have to travel halfway around the world to do this. You can do it just as easily at home. So grab a ball, pack a sandwich, go for a bike ride, and learn more about your own community.
Some of my better memories are cooking with my mom, or hopping in a car with my dad, an '86 Chevy Caravan, and driving for 3 hours with the destination of just returning back home. It wasn't about the make or the model of the car. It was a conversation. It was the sharing, and it was just growing with my dad. We're not here standing before you today as two hippies fawning over the benefits of a gypsy lifestyle. Like, I have a flat screen. I watch TV from time to time. Okay? We're not advocating massive fiscal irresponsibility. We all have bills to pay, right? The point is that these actions, these experiences, are a true investment. It costs money to buy some deli meat, pack a lunch, and go to the park. It takes time to build these connections. Instead of material wealth eclipsing all other forms of monetary investment, there can be a middle ground, a conscious effort to invest and to redirect your wealth into acquiring experience, knowledge, human connection. These can be real investment goals. It does pay off with real, tangible dividends that aren't variable in with two swings of the stock market.
So our message is simple. Balance your investment and allow your definition of wealth acquisition to encompass not only material wealth, but experiential wealth as well. Put it on the books, plan for it, and invest. Let happiness, knowledge, and understanding all be a tangible, real part of the American dream. Make it something that you, we, our nation, can attain in tandem as a community, invested in the well-being and upward mobility of each other. That's our story, and we have the images, but better yet, we have the memories and we have the experience to show for it.
Thanks. Nice job. Nice job.